Hey guys, what is going on location out here in Izmir, Turkey, and today we are going to check out the modern city of Izmir and one ancient city nearby. When I found out that the Turks named a city after their local beer, Efes, I decided it was something that I had to go and check out. And then I was surprised to learn that this city, Efes, actually was around before the beer. This city is the ancient city of Ephesus. It dates back to the 10th century BC. It's somewhere around here. I found that I could have taken a bus instead of just walking around. But since all of these buses are heading this way, I must be on the right path. Welcome to the ancient city of Ephesus. It is December, which is great because this place is almost empty. We're gonna have a lot of this to ourselves today. We are now standing in the Great Theater of Ephesus, built in the 4th century BC. It was originally a Greek theater and later a Roman theater. It's 3 stories high and could seat 25,000 people. Possibly more if everybody squished in together. But as you'll see with these kind of theaters, they're usually built into hills so that the slope kind of naturally works in their favor. From the stage here, we can get a pretty nice view and take in just how big this theater is. There is an interesting story that happened here. If any fans of the Bible want to read this story, they can open up to Acts chapter 19, verses 23 to 41, where the Apostle Paul, who famously visited Ephesus here, got into some trouble because he spoke out against worshiping Artemis, which the Temple of Artemis is nearby. We're going to check that out later. And a silversmith named Demetrius, I believe, got pretty upset and riled people up for what was called the Riot of Ephesus. And he was saying, if people stop worshiping Artemis, nobody's going to be buying my silver shrines that I'm making to earn an income. So that all happened right here in this exact theater. It was deemed that if they wanted to take action against Paul, they should do it in the legal system. So he escaped out of this theater untouched and possibly right through here. Who knows? Seems to be the exit stage left area. Everything I read online said that this wouldn't be possible. This is the Library of Celsus. There's almost no one standing in front of it. Online reviews said you need to come very early or late in the day to be able to get a picture, but don't seem to have that problem. So the Library of Celsus was the 3rd largest ancient library, and it held at one point over 12,000 scrolls. It was built and named after Celsus, who was a Greek Roman commander. He became a senator, and then his son commissioned this library. Apparently, Celsus is buried somewhere under this library. Oh, and this facade was destroyed in an earthquake in the 10th or 11th century, and then it was reassembled in between 1970 to 78, but it looks pretty amazing. This is pretty awesome to see this. Wow. Everybody's taking pictures of something on the backside here. It's a library cat. Another quick look at the library there. And we move on up Curetes Street, which once used to be lined with shops. I almost walked right past this. I was excited to go up there, but we gotta check out the terrace houses here. Didn't really look like anything, but it's very important. Got a bunch of cats greeting us to go into the terrace houses here. All right. Even more. So if you ever wanted to know what being rich in the Imperial Roman stage would be like, here's an idea. These are the terrace houses. There were multi-unit dwellings where the elite would live. And you saw that right on the main street there, Curetes Street, probably some very valuable real estate back in the day. I've seen some of the paintings on the wall. It's pretty cool. You can kind of picture what this place would have looked like. Oh wow, look at that. That's really cool. So this just seems like an ancient apartment complex, basically. And you've got all kinds of different common rooms and family dwellings. Just seeing these wall paintings is fascinating, because usually you just see the crumbling bricks, but here you can actually see kind of how they decorated. And if they're walking around, you know, 2,000 years ago, these paintings must have been a lot more vibrant and very cool, as you'd expected probably on all these walls all over the place. Well, here we are up at the top, kind of overlooking everything. it's an additional fee to get up here. I paid for the entrance ticket and the terrace houses together, which I think was cheaper, but it is definitely worth it. Very cool to see the floor patterns too. These kind of mosaics. It's interesting to imagine. Yeah, there's people walking around, going about their business, saying hi to everybody as they go to get some breakfast. Yeah, it's cool to see these floor patterns. There seems to be different ones all over. All right, so maybe it was because it was a bit earlier. I got to the library at around 10:30, and it seems to be picking up now. A lot more tour groups are coming out. So yeah, maybe the best advice is to try and get here earlier in the morning. Although I still don't think this is probably as bad as it gets during summer. So the city extends all the way up here, and then you can look back down the library. They've been excavating for about 100 years, and so far they've only excavated, they think, 20 to 30%. 70% is still under the ground. It goes up to that mountain over on this side. Something interesting is, if you look back past the library, that field, kind of brown, yellow field out there, that used to be the sea. This was a harbor in the port city. Now the ocean is about 8 kilometers out. Pretty cool to think about. Well, I left the city and then realized that the taxi drivers on this side of the gate want to charge me 30 euros to get back into town, which I walked here. So I don't want to pay that. I'm gonna have to go back through the whole thing, say I have to use the bathroom or something, and I already bought the ticket, so I don't think they'll care. But first, I thought I would enjoy an FS in FS, because why wouldn't I do that? Well, we've made it. I'm extremely excited to be here at one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and that is the Temple of Artemis, or what's left of it. As you can see, the Temple of Artemis has been reduced to a single pillar and some rubble, but it was once one of the 7 most spectacular sites on Earth. It took place in 3 phases. No one knows when it was initially built, but it was destroyed by a flood in the 7th century BC. In 550 BC, it was rebuilt, they believe, with 106 pillars. And then in 356 BC, it was destroyed by an arsonist. It was rebuilt again, this time with 127 pillars, and that is the version that became the wonder of the ancient world. And then it was all ruined and destroyed by the 4th century AD. So it's not the biggest tourist draw like the ancient city that we just saw, but it is pretty cool to just be standing here and imagine what the Temple of Artemis once was. Oh, this guy keeps talking to me. What's up, buddy? here is the pillar anyway, up close. It's pretty gigantic. You can imagine 127 of these. There are pieces scattered around. It's cool to be right up next to history like this, walking through the entire ancient city. Oh, this guy. That was pretty cool, but this, you know, one of the ancient wonders. You can just reach out and touch it. It's pretty cool. This guy likes it too. All right, where are we off to next? We are standing outside of the Basilica of St. John. This was not the original basilica. The original one was torn down by Emperor Justinian because it was old and ruined, and he had this one remade, which is enormous. And apparently, St. John the Apostle is buried here. Well, there sure is quite a bit of this basilica still standing. And if you look out, it's got some very beautiful scenery. The Seljuk Castle right up there. And somewhere underneath all of this, apparently, is the tomb of St. John, who lived in Ephesus for a lot of his life, but at one point he was exiled, and during that time when he was exiled, he wrote Book of Revelations, and he was allowed to come back at the end of his life, and he's buried here. And so now that we've seen those historic landmarks, I'm gonna head back to Izmir, the capital, and take a look at some of the cool stuff over there. Welcome to Izmir city. It is a beautiful sunny day. I've been staying here for 2 weeks and it's been raining almost every day. I've been waiting for a day that I could come out and shoot the surrounding area and show just how beautiful this place is. It looks like today is that day. So right now I am near Alsancak, which is right here. That's where I've been staying. We're gonna check that area out later. But first I'm gonna walk down the Cordon, this promenade here. It's very beautiful. This stretches on past the city center for 1.5 kilometers. And it's been around since the 1850s. If you were to jump out into the water here and swim straight west, granted you'd have to swim around a couple pieces of land, but if you would go straight west over the Aegean Sea, you would reach Athens. So that is where Izmir is. It is right opposite Athens in Turkey. As we continue down the Cordon here, I just wanted to point out that Izmir is a city, but it's also a province, an enormous province. And I got a lot of suggestions on places to go that I don't think I'm going to be able to get to. I was happy to get to Efes, but for example, I was recommended to go to Foça. From here, it's a 12-hour walk. It's pretty far. Here we have Konak Pier. This pier was designed in 1890 by the architect Gustav Eiffel. And if that rings a bell, and you're thinking, is that the guy who designed the Eiffel Tower? That is the guy who designed the Eiffel Tower. And he is responsible for the internal framework of the Statue of Liberty. A 2-minute walk from the Konak Pier is a market district called the Kemeralta Çarşısı, and that is where we are now. We seem to have just about everything that you could possibly want. It's a lot of very cool outdoor seating. Grab some food.
Guys.
Hey. Get some food, some chai or hookah. In the middle of this market district is the Kizaragasi Han Bazaar, which is right here. The Kizaragasi Inn, which is an Ottoman inn from 1745. It's a roadside inn that exhausted travelers and merchants would stay at. And this is it right here. So it's got 2 floors. And the second floor up there is where everyone would rest and conduct business. And then down here, they would keep the animals and their goods and things like that. Pretty cool stuff. Antiques, cassettes. Architecture is pretty cool. The lower part of the market. While I'm walking through the market here, I am getting a bit hungry, and I was told to try kumru. Oh, found it. Perfect. I actually thought I would have to search around a bit to find this kumru sandwich, but it's just, I didn't even realize they got signs hanging from the ceiling here for it. So I got mine. And it is a sandwich made with air-dried cured beef, Turkish sausage, cheese, tomatoes. There's a lot of different variations. It originates from Izmir, and it looks very good. Sure it is. Give it a try. It also seems to have some kind of sauce, but got the sesame bread. Also, great sandwich. I'm not sure if you can find it outside of Izmir, but if you're in Izmir, especially shopping around the market, you should try a kumru sandwich. We are now in the beautiful Konak Square. Nice fountains. The sea is right across the street there. And as you might have seen, this is the clock tower of Izmir right in the middle. It's got this beautiful Ottoman architecture. It was built in 1901 to commemorate the ascension of Sultan Abdulhamid II to the throne, 25th year anniversary. So many pigeons. And then there's just one hanging out in the grass. It's the only one. Anyways, I wanted to get a closer look. Beautiful clock tower here. Really digging the designs. Very cool. Now I'm gonna walk back through these pigeons and get some, hopefully, Mission Impossible shot. They'll flying away, or they just walk, whatever. We are at the base of one of the landmarks of Izmir. This is Asansör, or the historical elevator. It was built in 1907, and the function was to connect these two neighborhoods, which are separated by this very steep cliff. So in 1907, this elevator was water powered, which is pretty crazy. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. It's a pretty big elevator for 1907. Okay, so 0 or 1. So go to 1. Well, can't really see that well out the window. Looks like an old film. Oh, I made it. There we go, on this side. All right. Well, that's where we just were. Got a nice view. Wow. It is a very nice view of the city. It's just an elevator. Didn't even cost anything. We've reached the entrance of Kaleifakara Fortress. Kaleifakara means the Velvet Castle. It is on top of Mount Pagos, originally built by the Greeks in the 3rd century BC. Already got a pretty stellar view of Izmir from up here inside Kaleifakara. Pretty quiet. Little playground over there. It's kind of like a park with some ruins. Yeah, pretty interesting. There's the fortress where this was. You can kind of walk down onto these rooftops. So these houses are kind of all built into the side of Mount Pagos, into the fortress. And it just has an amazing view of this city. It's just beautiful. All right, I'm glad we could make it to the fortress. I'm going to head to Alsancak, which I think is there. I'm gonna have to check my maps, but I wanted to show you the trendy area over there and get some more local food. On the way to Alsancak, I'm cutting through Culture Park. A very nice walk. A lot of palm trees. You even got an amusement park, Luna Park. It is not open at the moment, but looks like it would be a lot of fun if it was. Got an interesting situation in the sky. These birds just flying right to the trees here. I don't know if they're grabbing something, and then they are flying right out. Coming from all over the place. Be careful, I don't want to get pooped on. But yeah, it's going crazy in there. What the heck is going on? Looks like we found the entrance to the park here. We came in a back way. Again, looks very nice. All right, we made it to Al Sanjak before the sun went down. It is a pretty awesome area, pretty trendy. A lot of cool bars, restaurants, shops, street food, all over the place, all down the streets here. I'm actually looking for a place that I can buy bombas, because that was something that I was told I need to eat in Izmir, so I'm on the lookout. All right, I'm guessing this place has them, so I'm gonna order a bomba for the first time. I was able to find 2 foods at this place that I wanted to try, which is awesome. So we've got, this one is bollos, and I'll try this first. It's like a breakfast pastry. I guess it's served with an egg. I got the plain one. It's just pretty good pastry. I guess you can bake it with spinach, cheese, meat. The one that I was looking for though is the bomba. This is a dessert. There's different kinds of fillings inside. This one has chocolate. Bomba in English translates to bomb, so I'm hoping this is the bomb. And it is. That's really good. Wow. So it kind of explodes like a bomb when you bite into it. Now I can use my bollos to mop up the chocolate from the bomba. Awesome. Well, that worked out. Both of these are local to Izmir. So if you're here, check them out. They're pretty good. Bombas especially, really good. Well, that worked out. I got bomba, bollos. Both were delicious. And now it is dark, so I'm gonna end this Izmir tour here. Izmir is enormous. There's no way I was gonna be able to see everything, but what I did get to see between Ephesus and Izmir city here was awesome. Really happy with getting to see all this stuff. And I would encourage you guys to come and check it out if you get the chance. So thanks for watching. Please give it a like, please subscribe. I will see you in the next episode.